Good morning. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with us for another edition of the Morning Breeze, man. Always rocking with you guys, as always, man. Outside of me, I got my guy, Mr. Media himself, Jordan JC, in the building. That's right. Back at it again, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. Caleb Williams taking shots, and seems like the Bears are standing 10 toes down on the full NFC North beef. We got to break that down. Is that the right move for the new team? We'll talk about that. NBA draft this week. I know, finals just ended. We got NBA draft to talk about. Can you trust Acme heading into this draft in any way? And who makes sense for the Bulls? Now we got to look at last night's game. NBA finals come to an end. OKC wins. Kind of the expected outcome. But the big question is, should Hallie have been playing? That's where a lot of people are looking at this finals appearance and saying their concern lies with the fact that Hallie needed to play. Talk about all that and more in today's episode of The Morning Breeze. Ladies and gentlemen, the date is 6/23/2025. It's 7:02 in the morning. And we got a message from the birds.
We finally got Jordan. We got him. Nowhere to be found. We got him. Tweet. We got him.
Oh, appreciate y'all for rocking with us as always, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Oh, push the button not working? Oh, there it is. There we go. There we go. Oh.
Push the button. Come on. Push the button. Come on, push the button.
Yeah, come on, push your button.
You heard what she said.
Y'all heard what Sue Young said. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us this morning. As always, man, love you guys. Drop a FGB in the chat if you're a Bears fan rocking out here. Listen, it's been an interesting weekend if you're a Bears fan because you got Caleb Williams calling out the Packers. Packers fans, I guess, is really who he was going at, basically saying that they suck. Talking a little trash, talking about Ice 1-0 at Lambeau. Talking about, just this continued mindset of let's go all in after the NFC North. And I actually love it as a fan, right? As a fan, you gotta love it. But I do have to ask the question, is this what we want to see this Bears team do this early on in the process? Is this how you want to see your Bears team go at the NFC North? Because remember, it doesn't start with Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson walked in the building and basically went, hey, let me tell y'all something right now. I have fun beating up on Matt LaFleur. I have fun dominating Kevin O'Connell. I do this stuff for fun. This ain't about the money. This ain't about the game. This is for fun. Ben Johnson walked in the door taking shots. And Matt LaFleur heard it, responded in kind. Right? Kevin O'Connell, I don't know if Kevin O'Connell has said anything about it. He's probably trying to get the rookie quarterback together. But is this the kind of energy that you want to see the Chicago Bears inviting this early on? because you're going to get what you put out into the earth. I love it from the standpoint of I actually think the Chicago Bears are a better football team this year. I actually think the Bears are going to go out there and be a very competitive team. They were competitive in the division last season, should have won at least one of all of the divisional games, should have beaten the Packers both times last season. Like you had opportunities, right? So I love it from the standpoint of I want the NFC North to be an absolute bloodbath. I want the NFC North. I want Jordan Love and Caleb Williams to be going at each other. I want to fan the fires of the rivalry. So I love it from that perspective. But you're going to get what you put out into the universe. And I'm going to tell you this right now. You better be ready to respond to that punch. You'd better be ready to respond to that punch. And we've seen this from other teams in the NFC North, right? LaFleur responded to the comments, of course, last year. Jordan Love keeping the rivalry going with, what was it, the Father's Day message to Bears fans. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you want in the division. This is how you want to have this rivalry going. But it is one of those things where you kind of take a look at it and go, well, listen, this is great. This is fun. But when the games start, are you going to be ready? And that's what this all comes down to, because the one thing that I know about the Minnesota Vikings, the one thing that I know about the Green Bay Packers, they are ready for those moments. The Detroit Lions literally are pretty much setting everything up for Ben Johnson's return to be a living nightmare. Brad Holmes came out, I think it was last weekend, and was speaking on, the shock that he had that Ben Johnson actually ended up leaving the team and going out to go to the Chicago Bears. He talked about how I could have seen him going anywhere else. He did a ton of different interviews. I had no problem with him leaving, but what made you go to them? You're setting up for an offseason of, hey, it's about to get crazy here. You're setting up for a divisional rivalry of, hey, it's about to get crazy. We're about to make sure that when you see us, you remember this game. And you have to be able to match that energy. And that's been the Bears' problem the last few seasons. The one thing, you would think that the Packers were the team that has lost for years in this rivalry. Not the Bears, with how the Bears show up and play in some of these games. Now, last season, I do think was different. Last season, I think there was a different energy in the building. Last season, I do think that Caleb Williams brought a different vibe to that. I think you saw it in how they went out there and played in that final game of the season that, hey, no, this means something to us. It was your 5th win of the year. And it meant something for you to go into Lambeau and win. We haven't seen that in a while. A lot of times by the end of the season, we see a team ready to lay down and call it quits. A lot of times by the end of the season, we see a team that's ready to lay down and be done and get on vacation. Doesn't matter if you're playing the Packers. We didn't see that from the Chicago Bears last year. I think we saw a Bears team that at least went out and attempted to compete in the division as much as they can. But are you going to be prepared for all the smoke that you've put out there, all the fires that you've started? And I love it. Ben Johnson's all about being ready for it, and he hasn't shied away from any of it. Even the pressure inside his own building, Ben Johnson hasn't shied away from, and I love it. Because to me, even when Bears fans go, oh, we've never had a 4,000-yard passer. Oh, my God, how are we going to be able to do this? We've never had a 30-touchdown passer. Oh, my God, we're never going to be able to do this. Ben Johnson says, bring that too. I'm not worried about 4,000-yard passers. I do that in my sleep. Jared Goff ain't never been under 4,000 yards with me. Come on, bring that too. 30 touchdowns. We going for 50. Bring that too. Consistent offense. We do this every year. Bring that too. That is the one thing that I do love about the mentality that's in the building right now. And you can feel it when you're up there. The mentality that is in the building is that every single thing that has been the stigma on this franchise, that has been the stigma on this organization, bring all of that on. We're attacking it head first. The conversation around, did you get the right quarterback? Bring all of that on. We're going to make sure he's the right quarterback. We're going to put him in a position for him to be the right quarterback. And I think that's the part where this offseason has been so massive and does give you a little bit more of a leg up, does give you a little bit more room to beat your chest on. Now, you got to go out there and prove it. But if you're the Bears, you have to have a confidence that is out of this world after the offseason that we've just seen this team put together. You go out and you do everything finally, after 10 years to build up this offensive line as far as you can, so that your quarterback's not laying on his back at the end of every season. You've added a multitude of weapons. I mean, the conversation around Colston Loveland, right, has grown so loud here by the end of all the offseason program. I know we haven't seen him yet because of the injury and stuff like that. But I remember Ian Rappaport talking about, how all of the calls died when Colston Loveland came off of the board to move up. Like, you added that kind of weapon to this offense. Oh, you also go out there, get Luther Burden in the second round. Luther Burden's going to be a problem, yo. Not just because of the Madden sims. By the way, tap into the latest Madden sim. Week 2 was not as fun. Chicago Bears are 1-1 after the latest Madden sim, and week 2 was not nearly as fun. But on top of all of those other things that you added, the pieces you drafted, the players you signed Grady Jarrett, you signed Dio Odengbo. You extend Joe Tooney. You get all these pieces in. We got all these players. You got chefs in the kitchen. At least that's how I feel. You've got chefs in the kitchen. And I'll tell you one thing. And here's the thing about what we saw this weekend that's truly exciting. The confidence that Caleb Williams has in the energy that Ben Johnson is putting out is so strong that he's willing to go on a stage and echo that confidence. He's willing to go out on a stage and echo the sentiments of the head coach who's taking shots at everybody. If you're not confident in your coach, that's not a conversation you're really having. If you're not confident that Ben Johnson's going to do something right this season, I don't think that's a conversation Caleb Williams is having. Caleb Williams is not dumb. He took 68 sacks last season. He's not going to invite pressure on himself that he don't need after all the pressure he had to deal with last year. I love the fact that they're inviting the smoke in. My big thing is just be ready for that punch when it comes. Because it's going to come. This is not a division that's going to lie down. You got hate coming from Detroit for the fact that you brought the coaching staff over. You've got the rivalry of the Packers, and the Packers always are prepared for this rivalry to be always. Credit to Matt LaFleur. It's something we haven't had here from a coaching standpoint over the past few years. We had Mr. We just think it's another game. We just think it's another game. We just feel like it's got to be, you got to go up there, you got to win, but it's not the end of the world. It's not another game. You had 2 games on your schedule that are the biggest games of the year, and it's not just because the Bears and Packers fans go at it. It's not just because we got Jimmy Hoffa in the building. It's because that's the standard that has been set in Green Bay, that it's not just another game. That's the standard that Matt LaFleur puts out, that it's not just another game. That's the standard that Jordan Love came out day one saying, I got to live up to. Aaron Rodgers dominated y'all for 20 years. It's not just another game. So if we putting that energy out, be ready for that energy to come back. And I love that we putting that energy out because it means that you're getting yourselves prepared in the right way to have to live up to the words that you're putting out into the world. Let's hope that this actually turns into something here, that this Bears team comes out very, very aggressive. Because you got an opportunity to prove everybody wrong or everybody right the first 2 weeks of the season. And I think that changes your like for me, I still sit at 9-8. I keep saying 9-8, 9-8, 9-8, right? That's where I'm at. That's where I'm always going to be at. But I'll tell you what. 9-8 is a very different conversation. You start off 2-0 in the division to start the season. 9-8 is a very different conversation if you go out there to start the season and you punch the division in the mouth. Minnesota Vikings week 1, Detroit Lions week 2. Now, there's still a lot of season left, but going up 2-0 in the division, that early on, where I think the only other team that'll have the opportunity to go up 2-0 is the Detroit Lions. That to me is going to be something to watch for. That can change the prediction on how the offseason is going to go. Or I'm sorry, how the season is going to go. I'm in offseason mode. That to me is the conversation that can change how this Bears outlook is going to be, because the confidence that comes from that, the confidence that comes from being 2-0 in the division early on, knowing you got Flus coming to your crib. I mean, you got storylines the first 3 games of the season. Oh, by the way, Flus talking trash on your QB, basically saying, this dude lying. I don't pay no attention to him. Okay. You're not going to get a chance like last season. We thought, they got the first 8 games. They should be able to get through them. Yeah, they did. They got through them all right. And then they never bounced back. Be prepared for that punch when it comes, and we'll see what kind of Bears team we really got this season. Hit that like button if you have not done so. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always, man. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us as we keep this thing moving along, keeping it Chicago here early on. After we come back from the break, I want to talk about this Chicago Bulls team. After we come back from the break, I want to talk about this Chicago Bulls team. Is there any trust left for Acme in the slightest? And with the draft this coming Wednesday, what do you want to see the Chicago Bulls do? We'll talk about all that and more coming up next. But first, we got to hear a word from our sponsors. Appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching the show. Today's episode of the podcast is brought to you by Aura. Have you ever done a Google search on your own name? You'd be surprised what pops up. Your full name, email address, home address, health records, your relatives. It's all out there. And that's why I've been using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests just for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it protects me from hackers who could use that information to help them access my social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. It's really simple to set up. I don't have to download several apps or go to things like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft, but you can get all of that in one place with Aura. I get everything at one affordable price as well. You may already have one or two of these tools, but not having Aura is like leaving the front door locked while leaving the back door and windows wide open. For you to be able to take advantage of Aura, we got a special deal for you here today. Stop data brokers from exposing your personal information. Go to my sponsor at https:/aura.com/the Windy City. Again, that is aura.com/the Windy City to get a 14-day free trial and see how much of your information is being sold. Breeze Nation, what is good? It's your boy Pat the Designer back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen, we got merch. That's right. New website, new merch, all out. We've been telling you guys to pull up on us. Now you can at twcbreeze.com, where you can find out all of the latest stuff going on. What all can they find there, Super Producer?
Listen, you can join the nation, sign up to our mailing list, and be up to date for events and news. You can also visit the shop page and order merch, because we have t-shirts, we got hoodies, we got mugs, we got hats, we got all kind of stuff. So, hey, we appreciate you being tuned in with us. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube page and follow us on all our socials. Check us out at twcbreeze.com.
He's way too excited.
I am.
That beat every time, dog. Every single time, that beat. Every single time I hear that beat, I'm just like, what the heck was that, bro? Like, the final boss. That's how I feel. Hey, man, welcome back. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love as always. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. Doug Key said we got all kind of stuff. Gets me every time. Bro, gets me too, because he literally said everything we have on the website. Like, he said every single thing we have on the website. All kind of stuff. Hey, man, we going to keep this thing moving along. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us, man. As the Chicago Bulls have a draft this weekend that is fairly important. And after extending AK and Mark Eversley, after going out there and being in conversations to extend Billy Donovan, which is why you knew AK and Mark Eversley were there, I start with the trust question. Can you trust in the slightest anything that is coming from that front office? Can you trust in the slightest a single word that is coming from that front office? The reason I ask this is because the movement for the Chicago Bulls team, at least based on what AK said, is to build through the draft and to try and build a team that is continuing to get younger and more talented. I love what you did with Modest Buzelis. I love what we saw in the second half from Josh Giddey. The question will be, is that real heading into next season? Especially after especially after what we saw last year last night, I should say, where the person that you traded basically 1-for-1 for in Alex Caruso helped his team win a championship. The second he got away from your team, all of a sudden he's helping teams win championships. And now, to top all of it off, we have heard the report, I'm sure you guys have seen it aggregated, that there was a potential for 2 first-round picks from the Kobe White trade that could have been to Orlando, and a protected future pick. So once again, you've turned down multiple first-round picks for a guy like Kobe White. You've turned down multiple first-round picks for Zach LaVine. You turned down multiple first-round picks for Alex Caruso. You turned down at least 1 first-round pick for DeMar DeRozan. So there's not a single word in my mind that comes out of Acme's mouth that is trustworthy. There's not a single word that comes out of the general manager and the president of basketball operations mouth that I believe coming in or out of this draft. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't build this thing up and figure it out from where we're at right now. I think you're at a decent starting point here, even with all of the idiotic moves that you have seemed to make. But when it comes to belief, when it comes to trust, when it comes to, I think he's got it, not a chance. I think it's going to be a lot of what happens in Denver, or what happened in Denver, I should say. You got lucky. Your hope is you get lucky. That's the game plan for AK. And I think I was talking about this last night. I ended up going on Fox last night. I don't know if you guys end up seeing me on there. That was pretty cool again last night, being back on television. Second TV debut in this mug. But I was talking about it with Carmen DeFalco of ESPN 1000. And the conversation on everything that guys like Acme has gotten an extension, and they haven't done a third of what John Paxson did. Haven't done a millifraction of what Jerry Krause did. Jerry Krause was here 18 years as the GM. Jerry Krause won 6 rings. John Paxson was here, I believe, 15 years. Maybe longer than that. Was Pax closer to 20? Pax went to an ECF. Pax built teams that continued to make the playoffs. Pax built teams that were consistently above 500. Even when Gar Forman was the GM, we were doing that. Acme's been to a playoff one time and quickly found their way out the door. So this is just showing his record as a GM when he took over. Record as a GM. Now the total record is below 500, 235 and 258. But some of the seasons you saw, first year where he takes over, 2003, 2004, 23 and 59, that'll hurt you. Then he went 47 and 35, 41 and 41, 49 and 33, down year in 07, 08, 33 and 49, 41 and 41. That's his years as a GM. Oh, then here comes Derrick Rose. And he becomes the president of basketball for the Chicago Bulls. Like, Acme hasn't done a third. After that, 41, 41, 62 and 20, 50 and 16, 45 and 37, 48 and 34, 50 and 32, 42 and 40, 41, 41, the bottom out. Since Acme has taken over, 46 and 30. That's their 500 record. And so for me, there is no trust when that is what you've continued to build, and that you're okay with building that. If you're making the playoffs, different conversation. But you have one playoff game win. One in 5 years. We're not going to get started on a series. The Bulls haven't won a series since 2015. You have one playoff game win right now. That, to me, is where I look at this front office and there's zero trust there, even heading into this draft. Now let's talk about the draft. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do, because I do think this is a draft that is very interesting. With all that being said about Acme, I do think there's an opportunity for them to build a pretty good team here. I do think with what the Eastern Conference is about to be next season, there's an opportunity for you to build a team that can compete in the East next season. We'll see what ends up happening beyond that, but you got to get your confidence right now. You've got the Indiana Pacers, who unfortunately just lost Tyrese Halliburton for a full season next year, just about. You've got the Boston Celtics, who unfortunately have lost Jason Tatum for a full season next year, just about. Jaylen Brown may have surgery as well. That could be something to be concerned about. The East is incredibly wide open right now. All I'm asking is be a playoff team, at least. Compete and be in the playoff. Find a way to get there. And I think that there's an opportunity to add a piece in this upcoming draft that could help you with that. Some of the names that I've been looking at, I think Thomas Sorber is probably the one that screams up at the top for me right now. When you look at his game, just high ceiling, high floor, lower ceiling player to me when I look at Thomas Sorber's game. But I think he's somebody who walks onto the floor and instantly knows his game. I think he's somebody who walks onto the floor and goes, okay, what do you need me to do? He has that almost Taj Gibson kind of feel where, and not to say I think he's going to be a Taj, like that is his ceiling, but Taj Gibson walked on the floor and knew what kind of player he was. Taj Gibson walked on the floor and said, oh, this is what I'm really good at. And was really good at it. That to me is what Thomas Sorber's game is right now. It's part of why I am excited about the possibility of being able to go out there and add him to this Bulls team. I think that it is when you talk about a guy who can be a rim protector down low, can be somebody who's able to move on the perimeter offensively as well, who just knows their game, who's strong around the rim. That's kind of the guy that I look at. The shock name for me, or maybe the sneaky pick, if you will, for me. And I'm sure you guys, if you watch Locked On Bulls, you've heard me talk about this guy. Cedric Howard to me is the steal of this draft. Cedric Howard to me is the steal of this draft. The conversation around who this young man is, how his mindset is, to me fits in perfectly with where the Chicago Bulls are. Oh, by the way, coming in at about 6'6", already 215, 220-ish. He's got a 7'2" wingspan. He's got a standing reach of 8'10". He is one of the best shooters in this draft. His defensive versatility is bar none. I think he's a phenomenal rebounder because of the arm's length. I think his playmaking is dominant because of the arm length. And I know a lot of people are going to look at this and say, well, Pat, but we need a big man around the rim. I'm not telling you that he's going to play any big man, but I do think he gives you the rim protection that you are looking for. You're not just going to be hanging around the rim with him. You've also still got sticks and guys like that on the roster that I think you can add. Also with a second round pick. I do wonder if you can get a Golden from Michigan, possibly that late, and maybe find a way to add a big to your team in that way. But if you're talking about a player that exudes every bit of what you need to see from a young piece, if you're talking about the prototypical Acme pick, the dude that you look at and you go, well, wait a minute now. You know, he didn't play a lot of big schools. You know, he didn't play a lot of big names. But I think there's potential there. This is the year for you to select that dude. And I've seen people talk about it like, oh, this is the same thing as P. Will coming off the bit. No. When you watch P. Will up close, it is not a skill set thing. It is a mindset thing. P. Will does not have the mindset for the NBA. This young man's mental is different. How he talks is very Jimmy Butler-like. How he talks is very, I know everybody doesn't think I'm that dude, but I'm going to show you that I'm that dude. And having him paired next to Modest, that actually gets me excited. I would come into this season and I would say, I'm very excited that we're going to play the game of who's going to be the starting guard by the time we finish this out. Put that kid in. Go through your process, Billy. Go through everything you got to do. Yeah, I mean, we like this. We got this going. Da, da, da. Put that kid in. Let that young man play. Somebody else who I'm very high on, although I will say, I think I'm high on this player, but to me, it's a little bit more of a stretch to see the Bulls go after him in this conversation, is Danny Wolf. And again, I think at 12, you're not going to see the Bulls be able to get to some of the top names that are in this draft. I think there are going to be people who are like Kaman is going to be off of the board. I think Asa Newell probably ends up off of the board a little bit before where the Bulls are at. So maybe you end up, heck, Cedric Howard may be off of the board a little bit before where the Bulls are at. So maybe you end up missing out on some of these pieces. Danny Wolf, to me, I love Danny's game. There are some people that are not fans of it because he doesn't have elite lateral quickness or I guess athleticism. But 6'10", 250 pounds, a real big man, 7'2", shoots, getting better with shooting the three ball, handles like a point guard, facilitates the ball. I mean, he's going to be one of the better big man passers in this league if he gets the opportunity to come out and start. I think that if you were to go with somebody who you're kind of like, okay, this dude has a little bit more upside, I would love to see Danny Wolf be that guy. I've been high on Danny Wolf all season. I think that, when you watch him in Michigan, just how he handles the ball, there's not a ton of time where he's being the focal point of the offense. So when you see the handle, when you see the shot, when you see the finesse around the rim, it's all there. Oh, by the way, can go out there and actually block shots and different things like that. So I think that to me is if there's some names that I'm looking at, those are probably my top three right now. Thomas Sorber, Cedric Howard's my number one. Thomas Sorber, probably my number two. And I would go Danny Wolf with my number three. I think that they bring everything that you're looking for from the Chicago Bulls standpoint, from the perspective of who's going to be the best three players for this team and who fits in best with this team overall. But again, let me know how you guys feel in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you guys as well. I want to finish out the conversation on this. If you have not done so, hit that like button, subscribe to the page, leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I want to finish out with a conversation on player mentality. And could anything have been done to change last night? We saw the Oklahoma City Thunder go out there and win their first game last night, or first NBA Finals last night ever. It's pretty cool to see. Seattle technically does have a final, so I guess maybe this is the second in franchise history, but the first coming from the Oklahoma City Thunder and those Oklahoma City fans. I'm so excited that Alex Caruso got to celebrate another championship. I love to see AC go out there and get all of the success that he got. And I hope that he has a phenomenal summer in all of that. But the real conversation on last night is around Tyrese Halliburton and him going down. He had the strained calf. We know what a strained calf seems like it always leads to when you put too much pressure on it. When you do too much, it seems to always lead to ACL. Look at Tatum. Or I'm sorry, it leads to Achilles, I should say. Look at Tatum. Look at Dame. Look at Kevin Durant when he was in the NBA Finals. It's just a strained calf. And I saw Perk last night telling Tyrese Halliburton, you should not play. Here's where it gets tough. Is that a moment where Rick Carlisle should protect the player from himself? Is that a moment where Rick Carlisle should go out there? And I thought Rick Carlisle had a bad night. I just did. I thought that it was last night was his worst coach game out of all of them. Like you saved your worst performance for last. I don't understand what he was doing in the third quarter. I end up, I came home. I end up kind of catching the third quarter because I was driving home from Fox. So I ended up catching the third quarter kind of in the car. You can't really see it. I ended up watching the fourth when I got back to the house. We went live over there on the Breeze Sports Talk for the fourth quarter of the game. But like you look at the game in totality, you look at the fact that, after going back and watching, like Rick Carlisle just had a miserable performance. Like you're sitting Pascal Siakam and Miles Turner in the third quarter. You're sitting TJ McConnell in the third. Like, what are you doing? So horrible. How do you tell a player? Because the conversation was from Kendrick Perkins. He said, I told Kevin Durant before the game, you should not play, popped his Achilles. He sent that same message to Tyrese Halliburton. You should not play, popped his Achilles. How do you tell the player to stay out in that moment? It's the NBA final. I get it. We want to protect everybody. We want to bubble wrap everybody, and the injury ends up happening. And so you can look at it and say, well, you should have kept him out of this game. It's the NBA Finals. You may never get back here again. Are you not when did it become we're not going to put it on the line? When did it become I'm not willing to give everything to try and win this championship? And I get it. It's going to have some ramifications for next season. But when it happened, we were sitting at Fox and Carm said there's going to come a day where players begin to sit out of these games because of the injury. And it's mind-boggling to me to think somebody in that situation could go Game 7, NBA Finals, it's all on the line. I'm not playing. I don't think that's a world that we can ever live in sports. Even just trying to protect the player. I get it. I saw Victor Oladipo's post kind of about protecting the players yesterday and stuff like that. But like at a certain point, the players got to make a decision for the player. Did they force Tyrese Halliburton to go out there? Was this a, hey, you got to go out there or you don't have a job? Like this to me, I think it makes it very difficult to try and regulate or control because what player is going to ever say, no, take me out the game, coach? No, I got a tight calf. I don't want to lose next year. How do you come back as the leader of that team? We still criticize Scottie Pippen, one of the top 20 greatest players to ever play basketball. We still criticize Scottie Pippen for not going out in a, what was that, an Eastern Conference Finals game? I don't know why I'm blanking on what round that was. For the last shot. When was this? Let me see. Phil Jackson in the 1994 playoffs after a timeout and scored a tie. I was trying to see what round this was. Semis, Eastern Conference semifinals. We still criticize one of the greatest players to ever play for not going out in an Eastern Conference semifinal game. And taking a last second shot that Tony Kukoc hit. So you're telling me it's going to become one day okay for a player to go out in the NBA Finals? It's not going to hurt his legacy at all. It's not going to hurt who he is as a player. It's not going to hurt his leadership in the locker room. If he goes out there and says, nah, I'm out. Y'all figure this out. Y'all figure it out without me. I'm going to be honest with you. And maybe that day does come. That's the day in sports I don't want to live to see. If you're the leader, you put it all on the line. No matter what you're in. No matter what the situation is. Because everybody's following you. You don't get here without Tyrese Halliburton. You don't get to this point without Tyrese Halliburton. The game winners, the comebacks, the defense that he played down the stretch in some of these games, the belief that he instilled in his team. How are you going to sit there and then expect that young man to go out in Game 7? and say, no, I'm good. Hey, boys, been a great run. Y'all got this, right? That's not a real world. And I don't think that it'll ever become a real world. And those same people who right now are going to run to say, oh, there's no way that you should have been out there. You knew he was hurt. You shouldn't have played him. He lost the season of his career. Yada, yada, yada. Will be those same people that are out there criticizing the fact as soon as somebody sits out going, it's game 7 of the NBA Finals. How could you ever sit out? What are you talking about? It's the first game 7 since 2016. You think he wasn't going to play? Only thing that sucks about it, which seems to always be the case, is it's always when a player is playing his best and setting up for a classic game. That man had 9 points in 7 minutes on 3 or 4 shooting. He was about to, I truly believe, if he's healthy, with how close that game ended up being, they end up winning. Indiana's probably holding a trophy up today. That's how much Tyrese was cooking them in the beginning of this game. And you hate to see it end like that. But, hey, man, let me know you guys' thoughts in the comments below. I'll be down there talking with you as well. Just to throw this in the comments as well. Shout out to y'all. Appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love. Hit that like button, subscribe to the page. Cloud Chaser Radio said top 20 is wild for Pippen, and he can name 20 players better than Scottie Pippen, maybe even 30. You do that. And y'all let me know in the comments below. Is that wild? Top 20 for Pip? He's one of the greatest players of all time. Top 75. I'm just saying. Y'all stay safe out there, Chicago. See Red Nation. Stand up. Bear down. One love. Peace. Oh. Why my soundboard not firing? There we go. Soundboard being weird this morning. His soundboard needs some coffee.